At some point we looked at the National NV-180 VCR. I can't remember right now what episode that was, but it's a portable VCR you can plug into video cameras and carry with you to record. Yeah, because video cameras back then didn't have any way of recording, as we saw in the previous two videos when we looked at the A1 and A2 video cameras. You put battery in there, plug your camera in there, VHS tape, full size, and it records. And when you come home, you connect this up to a tuner adapter with that, and it becomes just a regular VCR. So we're not going to look at this again much. We'll look at it a little bit perhaps. Instead, we have here a more professional version. I actually have two, or actually three of them here. It's the National AG-6400, and as far as I can tell, it's more or less an NV-180, but with more stuff in it. Hi-fi audio recording and more professional things, whatever that means. So your microphone inputs, headphone jack with a level control, stereo audio input and output, line level, a selection of what audio is being recorded to the normal channels, the analog audio or linear audio, and to the hi-fi audio. So you can choose that with those, video in and out on BNCs. There's that's where you plug your camera into. 10-pin camera plug. It's got time code in and out. And it's got a DC 12-volt input XLR jack socket plug connector, which is the standard in professional equipment for joining up power to things. And there's two of them here. This one looks cleaner. There's corrosion and stuff in there. It takes the same size batteries. You can plug these power supplies in place of the battery, and it has a cable there that you can connect to charge a battery from it, to allow you to charge the battery and power it with the minimum of fuss. So we'll have a look at these, see if they work, and then we'll take them apart. We'll take one apart, depending on maybe which is the worst one. Pretty clean inside. Let's try out the other one, see what that looks like inside. And we'll stick a tape in them. This one's quite a bit dirtier. Yeah, it's a bit dirtier inside. Okay, I suppose, should we try the clean one or this one first? We'll just try this one because it's powered up. So plug our video out into it. Being pretty hopeful. Let's see if you try fast forward. Oh yeah, rewind. These should be very reliable machines because they use the same sort of mechanism as the NV-180, where everything's like direct driven, there's no belts. So it should just work. There's something going on there. Some audio, but no video at all. Is there a tracking? It's just completely blank. I don't know if that's... Oh, there's definitely something on the tape. Supposedly that's noise coming off the like hi-fi audio. Maybe this is ruined. There's a little bit of a picture there when I press pause. Is there a still advanced? No. You put it in slow motion. Does not yield anything. I guess if we had the remote that plugs in there, we could get to still advance. And nothing now. Okay, this machine is not in very good operating condition, so maybe this should be the one that we take apart severely and investigate it. Let's see if this one's any better. Let's have a go. Fast forwarding, good. Play. Oh yeah, it sort of works black and white, but There's a degree of working that's a lot more than the other machine. Slow motion, look at that, nice clean slow motion. Wonderful. Brilliant. Don't know why there's no color. So there's external audio in there for the camera input. You can set it mic or line level. Frame servo switch there on and off. I think there's also a Dolby noise reduction that can be controlled somewhere on this. Seems to be on at the moment. Don't know where the switch is for that. How's that? Ah, yeah, actually. There's switches on the back. Look at that. Color or auto. Camera trigger, negative or positive, and the Dolby noise reduction on and off. And there's a picture soft and sharp adjustment there that looks a bit worn out. Alright, so let's keep this machine. Actually, we might keep neither because I have another one. There's a third one, and I think that one is the one that's in best working order. But we'll look at that in a moment. For now, let's start getting this thing apart so we can see what's inside. Then we might have a look at transferring the enclosure. So to get these apart, we've got to pick out these bungs. Reveals screws. Number 1 JIS screws. Then this will slide off in that direction. Little plastic hooks there that you want to make sure you don't accidentally snap off. And now the screws on the bottom. 2 screws that hold this back battery holder part on. And then there's 5 screws holding this bottom panel on. Someone's been in here before because these screws are a bit monted. So they're not number 2s at all. So they'll definitely be number 1 screws, but yeah, someone's gone in there with the wrong size screwdriver and moshed the heads out. Typical behavior. Now, look, there's extra screws there, but that might, I think that holds a bracket internally. Let's see what happens. Okay, battery holder, and the, that's a crusty design, isn't it? Little trim pot thing screwed on the back there for the picture soft and sharp. That would be easy to damage because it's just a little trim pot. Now, as memory, there's some brackets there which go up the back, so they need to be undone from here. Little tiny countersink screws. There's another countersink screw there, but I think that one is just holding that battery clip thing in. Let's see, maybe we can get this off now. Look at that. Bottom came off. Oh, okay, so you got to take the knobbies off for the audio levels. Then that will undo. And there's a wire there for the remote control connector. Now, I think that means we can take the top off, which will include this board on the bottom that goes right the way out, board on the front with the controls, displays on there, and there must be something up the side. Oh no, that's a hinge, so the board can fold out. Alright, let's have a look at that. Okay, that lifts off fairly easily. Yes, so that screw there was holding that little release thing for the battery or power supply. Fuses, 3 fuses there. And so it says FM audio. And then that says video chroma. So FM audio must be, is it part of that board as well? So all the video and audio or hi-fi audio is on that same board by the look of it. Guess, maybe? Or it's the audio is in these modules here. Anyway, there's stuff at the front as well. Okay, we're going to take these boards off and we'll have a look at them a bit better, and then we'll study the mechanism for a while, compare it to an NV-180. So I'm guessing this is a semi-professional type thing. It's not really a professional machine because then it would be using like M2 if it's Panasonic, or National M2 format. Better Cam SP if it was a Sony system. But actually, there is another version of this. I can't remember the number. It's a higher number and it has S-video support, or SVHS. So that would be more professional, but still, I don't know what you call prosumer, I guess. So maybe this is meant for schools and training institutions that don't really want the additional expense of getting fully professional equipment, but still want to give the same sort of feel by something that sort of acts like a professional equipment would. This is real servo there, not the fake one. Power circuit there, look at that switch mode power supplies, look at inductors and capacitors, and some sort of IC, a framing circuit. On the front here, I think is that system control stuff or just controls, I don't know. Has got that, but that might be just a display driver for the LCD. Oh yeah, look at that. There are ribbon cables there which will go to the real motors. Now I think we also are going to have to undo this board from the back. Look at that, there's a heatsink. Get distracted by everything. So these two connectors are mounted on a die-cast part, which also serves as a heatsink for those regulators or transistors there. Lots a bunch of things. Diode, it's probably a reverse polarity protection diode for that 12 volt input. There, dual diode and TO21 package, and two what are probably Darlington transistors for voltage regulation. No, at least that one is 2SD1270. Pretty sure that's a Darlington transistor, power transistor, used as a pass transistor in voltage regulator circuit. Wow, that screw was done up really tight. Oh, it's been cross-threaded. Cross-threaded! Yes, I guess someone has been in here before. Don't know if I have, maybe. I can't remember if I did anything with these before, other than the third one that's already in bits. Is the one I remember working on. Yeah, but that's also cross-thread. I think there's metal inserts in this plastic, yeah. Okay, so we're going to have to undo some more. Also another screw there, but I think there might be some wires to undo. Or it's all well organized and you don't have to undo any wires, it will just fold out nicely. No, we got to undo some wires. A ground wire. Look, it's got a red screw on it so that you know that that's the thing you have to undo before you can open up the boards. Another thing that feels cross-threaded, at least not as happy as it should be. And then there's this here. Well, that goes to the camera connector. Okay, so that needs to be undone. How about that? That folds out really nicely for servicing. So almost everything stays hooked up so that you can run it while it's in this opened out form. That's pretty nice. So in theory, what we see here is a mechanism very similar to the NV-180. Maybe we should take this apart a lot further and then compare it even closer. First we'll get these boards off of it. So there's long ribbon cables going up to the motors, which I think in the NV-180 they're really short ones because the board is like more permanently attached to the bottom. The relays in there, I don't know what that's for. There's some kind of... Oh, that will be the hi-fi audio, won't it? Yeah, on a normal. It says normal audio there. I was wondering, is that this? That must be the signal off the normal audio head here. Look at that. Those two wires there are those ones. Okay. Let's get this all out for inspection. Okay, how do we get these things off? There's a cable tie. Some kind of power. Oh yeah, well that goes up to those regulators and things and also where the 12 volts comes in. Thicker wires there. And then last off we've got 3 shielded wires. Oh, maybe that's where the hi-fi audio is. And that's the video head. Oh, there's another cable tie in there. We have to get that one off because it's securing it down to the PCB. Okay, let's unclip this. I'll try to unclip it. Not easy to unclip. But do it. Sort of. There you go. Alright, so we've got the main board here. Let's look at that carefully first. So we've taken it apart carefully. Wasn't carefully, need a hammer for that. This seems to be mainly audio stuff on the bottom side of this board. Well, there's some servo stuff there. So that will be motor drivers there for the capstan motor and the head motor, head drum in this area. Then there's audio stuff, analog audio in this area here. Through the middle, some relays. That's to do with switching between record and play mode. Would be. And then there's here, which I think is the hi-fi audio, or HD audio, or FM audio they call it. And then this board here sticking off the back. Oh, and attached by bodge wires. Genuine bodges on this. Taped down. It looks like it's some additional grounding. Another bodge there. Some transistor and capacitor thing added and a link. The resistor there. Bit of wire link. Oh, look at that. Additional transistor things being added. A few things. Some extra stuff here by the look of it. And here. Comb filters laying down. Other stuff laying down. Oh, that's... Did they mess up a pinout? Look at that. Like a coil array thing is just attached by bodge wires there. That's pretty funny. Maybe we can get that out to look at it. I wonder if they messed up the pinout of that. The pinout seems fine. I wonder why they did that then. I'll peel this off and see what is this thing in here. Oh, okay. So look at these bodges. Look at these bodges. So there's a coil array thing there, but it was just attached by bodge wires. But it seems to be they're all going like pin 1 to 1. So I'm not sure what was the reason of mounting it like that. At least it doesn't quite line up with the footprint. It's not very easy to check that from here without desoldering everything. And then tucked in underneath this delay line was this other, presumably that's another kind of coily inductor thing, soldered on. And then there was tape around the end of this one. It just had a pin lifted up and it goes into this one. Is there a wire going through a hole in the board? I might just cut this off so it's out of the way. No, it's soldered into, oh, it might be a wire. Interesting factory bodges. Guess this was a pretty low volume part, a low volume machine, so it was better just to do this than respin the board. Because I'm pretty sure that's some kind of inductory choke thing. 3 terminals, a little capacitor there, is 8 picofarads by the look of it. So maybe it needed just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever one of those things is. VLF0155 made by TDK. Pretty sure that's another kind of inductor array thing. All the good stuff. And then it's got those, well, these ones are actual like phenolic type PCB modules that get surface mount assembled, folded in half, then slid through a slot in the board and soldered with part of the wave or dipped soldering. But these are made of actual circuit board material. More commonly I've seen these type, which is on this board, where they're aluminum substrate with like flexible PCB glued onto them. Maybe because this involves RF, it didn't need, well, like the capacitive coupling to the conductive board wouldn't have worked, so they used normal PCB material. Guess, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like system control here with these ICs. System control, sub-system control there. Wonderful. Boards made by NEC. It's a double-sided surface mount as well. Boards made by NEC, and then I can't find the logo what I was looking at or saw just before. Boards made by NEC. Except the blank boards, I don't know who assembled it. Maybe it was done at the National Panasonic factory. Probably they would have all the secret ingredients for that. Well, they got all their own brand parts. ASICs and things. Fearless Eyes. These guys, they're MN parts. But then look, there's NEC parts on here as well. That's some kind of microcontroller. And then similarly here, another NEC part. And this is D7503. D7503. I guess they're just using two of the same microcontroller. Has what could be a date code on it. It says 8629 B5. This one here says 8909 BK. Not 89, 8509. Whereas this one says 8509 BK. 85, 86. Yes, I guess those boards could have been done on different lines with chips from different batches. Presumably it's a mask programmed, which might be that other bit after the part number there, 490 and 186. Alright, that's the boards. Well, it's almost the boards, it's most of the boards. There is another one here, which has got the real servo, NEC, framing circuit, and then power circuit. Oh, and it's got a Hitachi, presumably microcontroller there. HD63B05. And there's two motor drivers for the two real motors, which are here. Yeah, those are the posts that are ruined by the screws that were making all that squeaking noise when I was unscrewing them. They've been quite badly cross-threaded or something, forced in. Is that a screw missing? It might be just one that's not used. Okay, we can get that out of the way. Now there is the race prevention switch, so that you can prevent it from entering record mode when the tape is set as read-only or write protected. Let's see, I think we can get this module off. That's got the camera connector and power input connector. There's just these two screws holding it, but it also formed part of the chassis going down to the bottom panel. Did it? I think so, yeah, that was those long screws went through that. Yeah, and the main board screwed onto it as well. Yeah, those screws are also not doing too well. See, it's ripped out a lot of the threads with it. So maybe this has been opened and put back together multiple times, or someone really roughed it. Lack of attention to detail and care. Oh yeah, look at that, it comes off. And we're going to have to unpeel all these wires, I think. Oh no, there's plugs there, connectors. You can just unplug it. So it's just the two outer pins, which the 12 volts is connected on through. The other pins are not involved. And then it does look like it goes straight to that diode there, so you can't blow it up by having it run the wrong way. And there might be some kind of switching going on with that. Not sure, it just plugs onto that cable. And then the other transistor here goes to that cable, which was a thinner one. And that went, where did it went? It's the one that was here, whatever that means. Okay, nice little assembly there. Probably a useful connector to keep, because it will allow you to power up those good old video cameras that we got mountains of lying around waiting for someone to try out. In the back where the video head is. Of course these ones will be suffering from the Oil bearing lubrication drying out. That feels quite nice though. Feels like it's still in pretty good shape. Maybe it wasn't used that much after all. Okay. I don't know. So here is an NV-180 machine that's all disbanded. And I wanted to compare this, but we're going to have to take it apart more in order to do that. Unless I can find another one of these that's already taken apart more than this one. Okay, where's one that's taken apart less? No. Ah, look at this. This is another one of these. I think this is the good working one. Let's just try it. Just for fun, let's see this in action. So I ripped the spring out of that power supply adapter thing so it can just sit in without the little clip retaining it. Just so we can see one of these going, properly going. Wow, assuming it still works. It used to be fine. Great. Doesn't work. Wow. I don't know. There it goes. At first it was just a black screen and the monitor was saying unsupported signal. There you go. It's in good order. Good pause. Good slow motion. Good queuing. And reviewing. Yeah, so what happened was I was originally going to scrap this one because it is the one that seemed to be dead completely, whereas the other ones, this one here, seem in better order. So I started taking this apart, but then I investigated what's wrong with it, why doesn't it work. It just was completely dead, didn't make any noise or do anything. And what I realized eventually is when you plug it in, see, there's a little bit of activity. That wasn't happening. It was just doing completely nothing. I guess the screen came on, not sure, but it wasn't doing that motion. So I've traced the circuit back to try and work out why is it not doing that? Is the motor burnt out? No, that's fine. What's the next thing down the chain? Is there a signal going to the motor? No, there wasn't. Okay, there's a motor drive IC. Is there a signal going to that? Yes, it looks like there is, and there's power on it. So I concluded the motor drive IC must be burnt out, damaged, not working. And so I rummaged through all sorts of VCRs trying to find something that was close enough to the motor driver, and eventually found one in, maybe it was an NV370, and swapped it out. And then it all worked after that. I think it was this one here. This isn't the one I swapped. This is a good one, presumably. Which I could have taken from here and put in that machine. Anyway, after replacing the motor drive IC, everything worked perfectly after that. And it's all very clean inside and nice. So presumably that's something that had happened early in its life, and then it just got abandoned at that point and not used. So it was all in good order. I think this is what we want. This is a more taken apart NV-180. Probably all still working as well, as they usually do. Let's just extract this from the electronics part and then have a look at it. Well, in comparison to the other. I don't know which end you're supposed to undo these plugs from. This is a bit unusual that there's connections from both ends. It's not that common to have that. They normally fix it at one end and there's a connector at the other end only. It's pretty good. Where there are wires that could plug into multiple connectors, they're typically color-coded so that you only plug it into the right place, the correct place. Like here, where there's two 3-pin connectors next to each other, so they made one of them green, the other one's the normal brown color. There's red ones, black ones, green ones, and the usual brown ones. So the NV-180, this board on the bottom is the servo board. Has all 4 motor drivers on it. Presumably there's a 5th one somewhere that drives the DC motor for loading and unloading. That might be one of these kind of thingies. And that's pretty much all that's on there. And then at the front, it's got that, which is power supply and servo by the look of it. The board even at the fronter, which has got the controls on it and the display. It's got the system control on it with the microcontrollers. And then one board at the back, which does the, I guess that's audio and all the video processing. Very efficient, lightweight design. Now if we get rid of that, how identical or otherwise are these? There's another bracket to remove off this one. I'd say they'll be pretty identical. Fairly identical. The video head will be different because one has the hi-fi audio and the other one doesn't. HD audio? Hi-fi audio? FM audio? Whatever you want to call it. Another interesting die-cast part. So these 2 mechanisms, the part number there, maybe it's a serial number. Tape loading mechanism looks to be the same. Oh, it's too zoomed in, you can't see what's going on. On the back of it, there's an extra bracket here. I think that's just to do with supporting things which isn't there or has already been removed. No, it's got the post where it would be attached, but it's not there. Well, it hasn't got a thread in it. There's not a thread in it. Okay, on the top, the capstan motor's been taken from that. I think that's because there was a dud one in another machine, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same thing. Yeah, I think it's, maybe we repaired one in another video. Yeah, because I know there's a capstan motor over there and other piles of junk from one of these, and it's probably the dead one from another one. Anyway, there's a loading motor which has some gearing on it. Look, there's a plastic cover thing on the bottom of this to stop everything getting caught up in the works. Maybe we should pull that off as well then. There are quite nice wires in this. They're all like soft and flexible like good wires should be. All rigid and hard. A lot of the cheap stuff, like what you get with phones and computers and things these days, kind of horribly rigid cables, nasty stuff. Yes, that's nice. There's a cover on here. NV-180 doesn't have that, but what it has is the circuit board pretty much directly on there. It looks like the video head arrangement is the same type of ribbon cable connector, same type of connector coming off these real motors. I wonder if there's anything different about these. It does look the same, it's just a slightly different color. Pretty nice part there. Injection molded thing, polycarbonate I guess. Pretty good. Let's get this out as well, have a look underneath at the real table. Erase prevention looks to be the same. Cable length's a bit different, but the connector pinout's the same. There's an extra bit of bracket there that was part of this screw. I wonder if they used a longer screw for that. Let's compare it to one of the other ones. Might not be, it might be just the same. Anyway, it's a pretty thin bracket. Yeah, same screw length, not to confuse things. I think it's interesting how thick these wires are coming off of this. I think that drives a solenoid and something else to do with the tape mechanism opening and closing. Anyway, does this pull out? Do we have to release? Yeah, we might have to release the tape, like whatever you call that thing. We're going to have to open this. Perhaps the easiest way of doing it, well, we could put a little power supply onto that motor and drive it. Maybe that's the best way. A little power supply? Any power supply. As long as it's going in the right direction, that's going to be the key. It's set to 4.2 volts, 100 milliamps. I was using this to try and charge up a battery the other day. Okay, so that's going into play mode. So it must be this way. Would need a little bit more welly than that. Than 100 milliamps can provide. There you go. Okay, let's do this one. Great. So these are up now, and they won't go down because the mechanism hasn't reset itself. Oh, could we have just undone this to start with? Probably not. Anyway, the real table has come out now. I think getting this out is a little bit complicated as well, isn't it? Because of whatever's over there. Is there a hidden screw? No, it's not hidden. You just have to talk nicely to it. Down here. There we go, so that's the loading mechanism off from the NV-180 one. Okay, that wire needs unplugging to the erase head. More cable ties. Okay, so on this, there's a wire going to the erase head. There's the tape end sensors, little infrared sensors each end, which will have a light shine from this, which is a double-sided LED. Infrared LED projects a light beam out, and when the tape gets to the end, the clear part at the beginning and end of the tape will start coming out of the housing in either direction, and it will allow the light to pass through it into these light receivers, and then that will let the machine know that we'll reach the end or the start of the tape, so stop winding it or playing it, otherwise it's going to be broken. Now we've got that mechanism off and out of the way, the loading mechanism. We can see the thing that hooked it in is down there. We can also see the, let me wind this on a bit, that the back tension arm doesn't do anything. There's no back tension band there, it's just got a spring holding it. And what it does do is there's a light beam interrupter type thing there. So the metal tab comes off the arm. Down there's infrared LED and light receiver with a gap between them, and that little metal arm will go in there, so that pulsing on and off or varying the light level will control the back tension torque that's applied to that motor. Okay, we can get the real tables out, and they're probably the same. There's a little switch so it knows whether it's ejected or not. There's a solenoid, which looks like it's to do with the brakes, not to do with ejecting. And there's this little mechanism here, which makes it do stuff. Not sure exactly. Oh yeah, lets it release and then go back in. Yeah, so it needs to be pulled on by the springs of the loading mechanism for it to pop up. Yeah, what's exciting about this, that one there is directly driven, the supply reel. The take-up reel, it's got planetary gears on it, so the motor there spins faster than the reel that thing does. If we can measure that, measure it. We're going to do one rotation of this, observing that notch is at the top and that text is there. So it goes around once. Okay, so it's a 2-to-1 reduction. Okay, is that the same for this then? See that text there with that at the top? Looks like it. Okay. So there's a planetary gear in there which reduces the speed 2-to-1. Guess that gives them more control over the tape. There it is, look at that. Good stuff there. So that doesn't grip the shaft at all. The shaft is stationary. That central gear is also stationary. And then the motor is turning these 3 planets. And they orbit. There's like teeth in there. So not out on the ends, but teeth in the middle there, which touch the higher up section of these outer gears. Pretty interesting how that works. So yeah, get a gearing effect. And yeah, it looks like the same motor assembly is used in both types of machine. Makes sense. Why not use the same one? Saves on developing new stuff that you don't need. It also looks like the chassis is the same. Doesn't seem to be any differences in this. It's just screw a different head into it. The one that has more heads for the FM audio, and probably the analog audio head would be different as well, because it is a stereo one instead of a mono one. Mono stereo. It looks more like what you'd see in your hi-fi system tape deck. Hi-fi system, as if people have those still. Dew sensor. Oh yeah, that's in a different place. Ah, interesting. It's on that mechanism there instead of on its own little separate block on the side there. Still got the screw holes and things where it would go in, although it's not. That is aluminum. That is steel. Yeah, so there are a slight few differences to some parts. The mechanism that pulls in the pinch roller, some over travel on it so that it can spring back, like applying a constant tension on the bottom. Off the loading motor there, this gear which moves the arm, which does the loading and unloading, and then it moves stuff on the other side to do the pinch roller, and it doesn't do much else. It's a very simplified mechanism. The brakes are handled by the motors and that little solenoid brake thing, so it doesn't have any of that complicated stuff coming down here around where the reels are, like you see on conventional VCRs. No belts to slip, no back tension band to fall off. It's all good stuff. Possibly very few plastic parts that are in tension that are going to snap. Although maybe that post will, because that seems to be attached by plastic. Might have to watch that those freeze up. Or not, or they might just be good. Okay, are we done there? We made a nice work of that machine. There you go. There's a nice look through the electronics and mechanical parts inside a National or Panasonic AG-6400 Portable VHS VCR with hi-fi audio. Hi-fi audio HD, normal audio, Dolby system, VHS PAL portable video cassette recorder. Great. What do we take apart next time? More video cameras or more VCRs? Probably be one or the other. Hopefully that's interesting, and we'll do another one next time because there's plenty more. Maybe we'll look at some other portable VCRs since we've got mountains of those to get through. Not given them justice yet, having gone through all those normal home style VCRs. Home style? Alright, great. It was 1 hour, 1 minute of continuous recording with no stops.